Ladies and gentlemen, I want to read you a Washington Examiner article. Federal Bureau of Investigation Supervisory Intelligence Analyst who opened an August 2020 assessment used by the Bureau to wrongly label accurate information about Hunter's laptop and emails was among those who interviewed Danchenko in January of 2017. And the Department of Justice's watchdog criticized him in February 2017 for an intelligence memo to senior Bureau officials that, quote, failed to advise them of the inconsistencies between Steele and his primary subsource. You have one analyst who resigned for helping cover up, allegedly, one Bureau official resigned recently for helping cover up the Hunter scandal. You have another official, part of that cover-up, who wrongly labeled the Hunter story that the New York Post broke and the Daily Mail did a lot of work on as, an attempt by another country, of course, to sow discord and spread information that isn't accurate. Okay, so that's very interesting, and guess what? John Durham the Durham probe's going to use instant messages from this analyst. So John Durham wants to use internal instant messages from the Bureau analyst embroiled in the Hunter saga in his trial against Christopher Steele's main source, Igor Danchenko. Okay, hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Huge news in the Durham probe special counsel. Let me know also, I just did a first short on this channel. I know it's not that big of a deal for a lot of people, but as you can see, I'm pretty low tech. We're going to zoom past 200,000 subs very soon. It's because of you. Hit subscribe, and I've done this with no bells and whistles, just with me and my annoying personality, and it's part of my charm. So, let me know how you like the short, though. It's pretty awesome, and it highlights the huge, enormous difference between the Bureau's handling of secret private servers siphoning classified data outside of the U.S. government. Madam Secretary owned those servers, and boxes at Mar-a-Lago. Huge difference. Huge difference, and I talk about that in the short. So hit subscribe to this channel, and also check out the segment prior to this one regarding the video surveillance footage of Bureau officials that visited Mar-a-Lago in June without any problems at all. Visited Mar-a-Lago in June, knowing, and I explain exactly why they can never convict Trump in the segment prior to this one regarding the video. But anyway, after Danchenko first lied to the Bureau in January 2017, when talking with this Bureau official, the FBI made him a paid confidential informant just 2 months later. They made him a paid confidential informant because this way nobody could ask about any of the lies that he told. So what'll happen in government is that anything detrimental to a political party, to a politician, to the government, to a president will be classified. It might even be classified top secret. This way nobody without a clearance can look at it. You found a way to circumvent FOIA requests, and you found a way to circumvent any journalist that actually does investigative journalism. And we had one who was a very heroic investigative journalist in Nevada, whose life almost certainly was ended by a Democratic politician. Okay. Mashed potato brains Joe should ask, maybe talk about, instead of Trump Republicans, he should probably mention Biden Democrats as maybe a menace to society. But anyway, the Bureau agents circulated a February 2017 intelligence memo to Bureau officials about Danchenko interview, but DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz said, quote, it did not describe the inconsistencies from the Bureau discussion. The memo was sent to then Director James Comey and Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. So what they do is they talk about the inconsistencies, then they write up a report that don't mention the inconsistencies. So they talk about amongst themselves, oh yeah, this is an operative, a political operative, the Steele dossier subsource. It's not accurate. The whole thing's nonsense. Then they write a report to Comey and McCabe saying, oh yeah, well, we're following, everything's by the book, boss. And then Comey and McCabe say, we never knew of anything that would be less than by the book. And so that's how they go after Trump. Everything, look, the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, didn't find documentary or testimonial bias. It's not that he didn't find bias. He found endless examples of bias. The whole thing is riddled with endless examples of bias. The rebuttal then from Democrats or media would be, well, why didn't he say there was bias? He stated numerous examples of bias. He said there was no evidence of any documentary or testimonial bias that he could look at that would influence a prosecutor. Well, of course there wasn't any documentary or testimonial bias. Everything written by these people was done so in a manner that covered their behind. And there was no testimonial bias because what do you think McCabe's going to say? Oh yes, I accepted money from Virginia Democrats, and then now I'm working for CNN. What do you think? And eventually I'm going to work for CNN. What do you think Peter Strzok's going to say? Oh yeah, I said we'll stop Trump, and I meant it. They're not going to admit to anything via testimony. And furthermore, Horowitz didn't even interview these people. So the Inspector General didn't even interview any of the top people involved in setting up and framing Trump. But all the people that he did talk about, there was immense bias. They didn't want Trump there, but there was no documentary or testimonial bias. Then it's written within media, oh, they found there's no bias. It found it was appropriate. The probe, the investigation into Trump began because of an appropriate and legitimate reason. But they never investigated Bill Clinton for meeting with Vladimir in his home outside Moscow. And 20% of U.S. uranium capacity being sold to you-know-who. How is that not worse than the DNC emails that showed Bernie Sanders was cheated? But anyway, it always comes down also to liberal sensibilities. Liberal sensibilities have been infused into American politics. So that allows people to be suspicious of Trump and not suspicious of Democrats, even though they get away with infinitely worse. It's unbelievable. But here, Durham's indictment also says Danchenko lied to the Bureau about a phone call he claims he received from another operative who the Steele sources said told him about cooperation between Trump and the Kremlin. See, all they need is for one person, all the Bureau needed at that point is for one person like Danchenko to say, oh yeah, I got a call from somebody that said that Trump was working with the Kremlin. Oh, he was? We got to investigate him. Let's go, chop chop, let's investigate Trump. Somebody called and said that he had heard from somebody else that Trump was working with another country. This, by the way, is not national security, okay? This is not national security. This is politics. This is government being used against a political rival. When you have liberal journalists talking about how America was under assault when the DNC emails were infiltrated. America was under assault when the DNC emails were infiltrated. Now you have instant messages from the Bureau official who not only helped cover up the Hunter email and laptop stories. So they do all these things all at once, covering up stories detrimental to Democrats that actually show graft and bribery schemes. Oh, that's okay. No problem there. And also then telling media not to talk about the story and silencing and influencing social media algorithms because, that another country wants to know about Hunter. And at the same time, before that, working with an operative that was literally getting paid in part by the Clinton campaign because he was working with Christopher Steele, who was then getting paid by the DNC and the Clinton campaign. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Durham probe will get a conviction, at least one count of the 5 counts, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be able to prove that the Steel subsource lied, okay? And he won't even, the issue of deception, that'll be easy to prove. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now.